Kobbie Mainoo transfer news, the full story behind Leeds links and Napoli interest. Welcome back to United Daily Updates, your trusted source for everything Manchester United. If you are new here, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we bring you the latest news, match analysis, and transfer updates every single day. We have built a community of passionate United fans who trust us to deliver accurate information without the nonsense. So hit that subscribe button and let's dive into today's massive topic. Introduction. A story that has everyone talking. Picture this. You are 20 years old. You have just broken into one of the biggest football clubs in the world. Last season, you were the talk of English football. Fans were singing your name. Pundits were comparing you to club legends. And then, suddenly, everything changes. A new manager arrives, and you find yourself watching from the bench more than playing on the pitch. This is the reality that Kobbie Mainoo is facing right now at Manchester United. And it has sparked one of the most interesting transfer stories of the January window. The rumours are flying everywhere. Leeds United want him. Napoli are interested. Other clubs are watching closely. But what is actually going on? What is the truth behind all these headlines? Today, we are going to break down everything you need to know about Kobbie Mainoo's situation. We will talk about why he is not playing as much as he should. We will look at the Leeds United links and explain why that move makes absolutely no sense. We will dive into the Napoli interest and why that could actually happen. And we will discuss what this all means for Manchester United, for Mainoo himself, and for his chances of playing in the World Cup next summer. This is not just another transfer rumour story. This is about a young player's career at a crossroads. This is about Manchester United's planning for the future. And this is about how football transfers really work behind the scenes. So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's get into it. Who is Kobbie Mainoo and why does he matter? Before we talk about transfers and loan moves, let's take a step back and understand why Kobbie Mainoo is such an important player. If you have been following United closely, you already know the answer. But for anyone who needs a reminder, let me paint the picture. Kobbie Mainoo is a 20-year-old midfielder who came through the Manchester United Academy. He is a local lad who grew up dreaming of playing for United. And last season, that dream came true in the best possible way. He broke into the first team and quickly showed that he belonged at this level. What makes Mainoo special? Well, he is not your typical young midfielder who is all energy and no brain. He has something different. He has composure on the ball that players twice his age would be jealous of. He can receive the ball under pressure and still pick out the right pass. He reads the game well. He understands positioning. And he has this ability to carry the ball forward and drive United up the pitch. Last season, when Mainoo was playing regularly, United fans saw glimpses of what he could become. He was not just filling in. He was not just a squad player. He was genuinely one of the better performers in a struggling United team. That is saying something. The England national team took notice too. Mainoo got his first senior caps and suddenly, people were talking about him as a potential starter for England in major tournaments. At 20 years old, he had the world at his feet. But then Ruben Amorim arrived at Old Trafford. And everything changed. The Ruben Amorim factor. Why Mainoo is not playing. When Manchester United appointed Ruben Amorim as their new manager, there was a lot of excitement. Here was a young, modern coach who had won titles at Sporting Lisbon. He played attractive football. He developed young players. Surely this would be perfect for someone like Kobbie Mainoo, right? Wrong. Or at least, not so far. Since Amorim took over, Mainoo has found his playing time drastically reduced. He is not starting games regularly anymore. When he does get on the pitch, it is often as a substitute in the final minutes. For a player who was a regular starter just a few months ago, this is a huge blow. So what is going on? Why is Amorim not playing Mainoo? The truth is, it probably has nothing to do with Mainoo's ability. Amorim has his own ideas about how he wants his team to play. He has a specific system, a specific tactical approach. And sometimes, even good players do not fit into that system straight away. Amorim uses a different formation than what United were playing before. He has different demands from his midfielders. He wants certain types of movements, certain types of pressing patterns. Maybe Mainoo is still learning these new demands. Maybe Amorim simply prefers other players right now. But here is the problem. Football does not wait for anyone. Mainoo is 20 years old. These are crucial years for his development. He needs to be playing regular football. Sitting on the bench week after week is not good for any player, especially not for a young player who is trying to establish himself. And there is another issue. A big one. The World Cup is coming up next summer. And if Mainoo wants to be part of England's squad, he needs to be playing. He needs to be showing his quality week in and week out. You do not get selected for England based on what you did last season. You get selected based on your current form and fitness. This is where the transfer speculation begins. The Leeds United links. Why this story does not make sense. A few weeks ago, reports started appearing that Leeds United were interested in signing Kobbie Mainoo on loan in January. Some outlets were treating this as a genuine possibility. Leeds are struggling this season. They need midfield reinforcements. Mainoo needs game time. It could be a perfect match, right? Wrong. Completely wrong. And here is why. First, let's talk about the rivalry. Manchester United and Leeds United are not just two football clubs. They are fierce rivals. This is one of the biggest rivalries in English football history. The hatred between these two sets of fans goes back decades. United fans despise Leeds. Leeds fans despise United. It is real. It is intense. It is part of what makes English football special. Now imagine Manchester United sending one of their promising young players on loan to Leeds. Can you picture it? Can you imagine the reaction from United fans? It would be absolute chaos. The club would never hear the end of it. It would be seen as a betrayal, as disrespectful to the history and traditions of the club. But it is not just about the fans. It is about basic football sense. What does Manchester United gain from loaning Mainoo to Leeds? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. If you loan a player to another club, you want that move to benefit everyone involved. You want the player to develop. You want the loan club to have a good experience with your player. And ideally, you want some kind of relationship or benefit for your own club. Loaning Mainoo to Leeds gives United none of that. Leeds are fighting relegation right now. They are sitting 16th in the Premier League, just 1 point above the drop zone. They are in crisis mode. Their manager Daniel Farke is under huge pressure and might even get sacked. Is that really the environment where you want to send your talented young midfielder? Do you want him fighting a relegation battle, playing in a team that is low on confidence and struggling for results? That is not development. That is throwing a young player into a difficult situation where he might struggle and lose confidence himself. And let's be honest about something else. Leeds United are not big enough for a player like Kobbie Mainoo at this stage of his career. That might sound harsh, but it is true. Mainoo has already played for Manchester United. He has already played in front of 75,000 fans at Old Trafford. He has already represented England. If he is going to leave United on loan, he is going to want to go somewhere prestigious. Somewhere that plays good football. Somewhere that is competing for trophies or at least challenging at the top end of the table. Leeds, fighting relegation in the Premier League, do not fit that description. Our sources have confirmed exactly this. When Team Talk spoke to insiders close to the situation, they made it crystal clear that a move to Leeds is not happening. The rivalry between the clubs is still very real. United would not benefit from the move. And Mainoo himself would be looking for something bigger and better. So where did this story come from? Probably from Leeds themselves. When you are a struggling club desperate for reinforcements, you start getting linked with every available player. Agents and intermediaries throw names around. Journalists pick up on the rumors. And suddenly, you have a story. But that does not make it true. That does not make it realistic. The Leeds United link is a non-starter. It is not happening. Move on. Where Mainoo actually could go, the Napoli connection. Now let's talk about a transfer link that actually makes sense. Napoli. The Italian giants are genuinely interested in Kobbie Mainoo. And unlike the Leeds story, this one has real substance to it. Napoli are one of the biggest clubs in Italy. They won the Serie A title 2 seasons ago. They play in the Champions League regularly. They have a world-class manager in Antonio Conte. And right now, they are mounting another serious challenge for the Italian Championship. This is exactly the kind of club where a loan move would make sense for Mainoo. Let's break down why. First, playing time. Napoli need midfield reinforcements. Conte has identified Mainoo as a player who could really help his team. If Mainoo goes to Napoli, he will play. He will be an important part of the squad. He will not be sitting on the bench wondering when his chance will come. He will be in the thick of a title race, playing meaningful football every week. Second, the level of competition. Serie A is one of the top leagues in Europe. It is tactical, it is challenging, it is intense. Playing in Italy would be an incredible learning experience for Mainoo. He would face different types of opponents. He would learn different tactical approaches. He would grow as a player. Third, European football. Napoli are competing in European competitions. That means Mainoo would get the chance to play on the biggest stages, against the best teams in Europe. That is invaluable experience for a young player. You cannot buy that kind of education. Fourth, Antonio Conte. This is huge. Conte is one of the best managers in world football. He has won titles everywhere he has been. He is known for improving players, especially midfielders. He demands intensity, intelligence, and commitment. If Mainoo can thrive under Conte, he will come back to United as a much better player. And here is the kicker. Playing for Napoli in a title race would absolutely help Mainoo's chances of making the England squad for the World Cup. England manager and his staff will be watching Serie A. They will see Mainoo playing important games, making an impact, competing at the highest level. That is exactly what he needs on his CV. Our sources have told us that Napoli are in pole position if United decide to loan out Mainoo in January. The Italian club have made their interest clear. They have the project to sell to the player. And crucially, Mainoo himself is becoming more and more open to the idea. One insider told TeamTalk that Mainoo sees the pathway. Regular football in a title race and European competition is exactly what he needs for the World Cup. The player understands that sitting on United's bench is not helping his international ambitions. A move to Napoli could be the perfect solution. But there is a catch. A big one. The one condition that could block everything. Manchester United are not stupid. They know that Kobbie Mainoo is a talented player with a bright future. They invested time and money into his development. They see him as part of their long-term plans. So they are not just going to let him walk out the door without careful consideration. According to our sources, United have made their position very clear. Mainoo is not available in January. They want to keep him. They want him to fight for his place in the team. They want him to adapt to Amorim's system and become an important player under the new manager. But there is one scenario where United might change their mind. One condition that could open the door for a Mainoo loan. They would need to sign a replacement first. Think about it from United's perspective. They are trying to rebuild the squad. They are trying to get back to the top of English football. They cannot afford to weaken their squad in the middle of the season, especially in a position as important as central midfield. If Mainoo leaves, even on loan, United lose a squad option. They lose depth. They lose flexibility. And what happens if they get injuries? What happens if other midfielders lose form? Suddenly, they are in trouble. So United's message has been consistent. We are not letting Mainoo go unless we bring someone in first. It is that simple. This is where things get interesting. Because United are actually looking at potential midfield signings for January. They are ambitious. They want to improve the squad. And if they can bring in the right player, then maybe, just maybe, they would be willing to let Mainoo go on loan. One name that keeps coming up is Elliot Anderson from Nottingham Forest. Anderson is a talented young midfielder who has been impressive this season. He is the type of player who could slot into United's squad and make an impact. He fits the profile of what Amorim wants. But here is the problem. Nottingham Forest do not want to sell Anderson. Why would they? He is one of their best players. They are having a good season. They have no reason to let him go, especially not in January when they need all their best players to maintain their position in the league. Even if Forest were willing to sell, it would be expensive. Really expensive. We are talking about a player who is performing well for a Premier League club. That does not come cheap. United would have to pay a premium, and even then, there is no guarantee they could get the deal done. This is the reality of January transfers. They are difficult. They are expensive. And they often do not happen because clubs do not want to sell their best players in the middle of the season. So we are stuck in this situation where United might let Mainoo go, but only if they sign a replacement. But signing a replacement in January is really hard. Which means Mainoo might end up staying at United whether anyone likes it or not. What this means for Mainoo's World Cup dreams. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. The World Cup. Because that is what this whole situation is really about for Kobbie Mainoo. The 2026 World Cup is happening next summer. It is going to be massive. It is being hosted by the United States, Canada, and Mexico. It is the first 48-team World Cup. And England, as always, will be one of the favorites. For any English player, playing in a World Cup is the dream. It is the pinnacle of your career. It is what you think about when you are a kid kicking a ball around in the park. And for Mainoo, at just 20 years old, this could be his first World Cup. But right now, his chances are slipping away. England have a lot of options in midfield. Really talented players who are playing regularly for top clubs. Declan Rice at Arsenal. Jude Bellingham at Real Madrid. Curtis Jones at Liverpool. Adam Wharton at Crystal Palace. The competition is fierce. If Mainoo is sitting on United's bench for the next 6 months, how does he compete with these guys? How does he convince the England manager that he deserves a place in the squad? He cannot. It is that simple. Some reports have suggested that Mainoo is desperate for a transfer because he is worried about the World Cup. Our sources say that is probably overstating it a bit. Yes, the World Cup is on his mind. Yes, he understands that he needs to be playing. But there are also other factors at play. Mainoo is a competitor. He is a professional footballer who wants to play football. Sitting on the bench is frustrating for any player, World Cup or no World Cup. He wants to develop his game. He wants to keep improving. He wants to show what he can do. That is natural for any ambitious young player. But let's be realistic about the World Cup situation. Even if Mainoo moves to Napoli in January and plays brilliantly for the rest of the season, is that enough to force his way into England's World Cup squad? Maybe. But it is a long shot. The England manager will already have a pretty clear idea of his squad. He will have his core group of players. He will have players he trusts, players who have performed for him in previous tournaments and qualifiers. Breaking into that group is incredibly difficult, especially if you have only been playing regularly for 6 months. Our sources believe that Mainoo is probably too far away from the England squad right now to make it in time for the World Cup. Even with a move and regular football, it would be tough. The more realistic goal is to use the second half of this season to get back on track, get playing regularly, and then build towards the future. There will be other tournaments. There will be other opportunities. But that does not mean the World Cup is not a factor. It absolutely is. Because even if Mainoo knows deep down that the World Cup might be out of reach, he still has to try. He still has to put himself in the best possible position. And right now, that means playing football. Lots of it. Manchester United's perspective, protecting the future. Now let's look at this situation from Manchester United's point of view. Because they have their own priorities and concerns here. United invested in Kobbie Mainoo. They brought him through the academy. They gave him his chance in the first team. They see him as a player who could be at the club for the next 10 years. That is valuable. That is worth protecting. So when people say United should just loan him out to get him playing time, it is not that simple. United have to balance Mainoo's immediate needs with their own long-term planning. First, there is the squad depth issue we already talked about. United cannot afford to weaken their squad mid-season unless they bring in a replacement. They are fighting for Champions League qualification. They are trying to win trophies. They need all their best players available. Second, there is the question of Mainoo's development under Amorim. Yes, he is not playing much right now. But maybe that is temporary. Maybe Amorim is slowly integrating him into the team. Maybe in another month or two, Mainoo will be starting regularly again. If United loan him out now, they miss that opportunity. Third, there is the risk of a loan move going wrong. What if Mainoo goes to Napoli and gets injured? What if he struggles to adapt to Italian football? What if things do not work out for whatever reason? Then United have a player who has lost confidence and lost development time, and they still have the same problems they had before. Fourth, there is the message it sends. If United loan out Mainoo every time a player is not playing regularly, what does that say to other young players? What does that say about the pathway to the first team? It suggests that if things get tough, you just leave rather than fight for your place. United's official message has been clear and consistent. Mainoo is not available in January. He will stay and fight for his place. This is his job. This is what professional footballers do. They compete for positions. They adapt to new systems. They prove themselves worthy of playing time. Is this the right approach? That is debatable. Some people will say United are being too stubborn. They will point to other big clubs who regularly loan out young players to help their development. They will say that keeping an unhappy player who is not playing is bad for everyone. Others will say United are right to hold firm. They will point out that Mainoo is only 20. He has plenty of time. A few months on the bench is not going to ruin his career. He needs to be patient, work hard in training, and wait for his opportunity. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Both perspectives have merit. But ultimately, United are in control here. They hold all the cards. And unless something dramatic changes, Mainoo will be staying at Old Trafford for the rest of this season. The other players United are looking at. While we are talking about United's midfield situation, it is worth mentioning some of the other players they are looking at. Because this gives us context for how they are thinking about the position and what their plans might be. We already mentioned Elliot Anderson from Nottingham Forest. He is clearly a player United admire. But the problem is getting him out of Forest, which seems very difficult in January. There are other names being mentioned too. United's scouting network is always active. They are always looking at players, always monitoring the market, always trying to identify potential signings. One interesting name that has come up recently is Kenneth Eichhorn from Hertha Berlin. Now, this is a different type of target. Eichhorn is only 16 years old. He is a defensive midfielder who is considered one of the most exciting young talents in Germany. He apparently has a release clause in his contract. United are one of 12 clubs interested in signing him. That tells you how highly rated this kid is. But this is not a signing for now. This is a signing for the future. If United get Eichhorn, he would join the academy or the B team. He would not solve their immediate midfield depth problem. There has also been talk about Nico Schlotterbeck from Borussia Dortmund. Although he is a centre-back rather than a midfielder, it shows that United are thinking about multiple positions and how they can improve the squad. The point is this. United are not sitting still. They are actively looking at ways to improve the team. They understand they need to strengthen. They understand they need more quality and depth in certain positions. But January is a tough window. The best players are not available. Clubs do not want to sell. Prices are inflated. So United might look at the market and decide that nothing makes sense right now. Maybe they wait until the summer when there will be more options and better opportunities. And if they do wait until summer, what does that mean for Kobbie Mainoo? It probably means he stays put for the rest of this season. It means he has to keep working, keep training, keep fighting for his place. It means the loan move does not happen. What should happen? The ideal scenario. Let's step back from all the rumors and speculation for a moment. Let's think about what should happen here. What would be the ideal scenario for everyone involved? From Mainoo's perspective, the ideal scenario is simple. He wants to play football. He is 20 years old and he should be playing every week. If Ruben Amorim cannot give him that at Manchester United right now, then a loan move makes perfect sense. The Napoli option looks fantastic on paper. Title race. European football. World-class manager. Beautiful city. What more could a young player want? 6 months in Naples playing under Antonio Conte could be transformative for Mainoo's career. He would come back to United next summer as a more complete player, with more experience, with more confidence. From United's perspective, the ideal scenario is a bit more complicated. They want to keep their squad strong. They want depth. They want options. But they also want their young players to develop properly. If United could sign a quality midfielder in January, then loaning Mainoo to Napoli becomes a win-win situation. United get a new player who can contribute right away. Mainoo gets to play regularly in a top league. Everyone is happy. But if United cannot sign anyone, then keeping Mainoo makes sense. You cannot weaken your squad mid-season just to keep a player happy. That is not how successful clubs operate. From England's perspective, they want Mainoo playing. The national team benefits when their players are performing week in and week out at the highest level. An in-form Mainoo playing for Napoli is much more useful to England than a frustrated Mainoo sitting on United's bench. So the ideal scenario is this. United sign a midfielder in January. Someone like Elliot Anderson or another quality option. This gives them the depth they need. Then they loan Mainoo to Napoli for the rest of the season. Mainoo plays regularly, develops his game, and comes back to United next summer ready to fight for his place under Amorim. United have a stronger squad. Napoli get a talented player who helps them win Serie A. Everyone wins. But football rarely works out ideally. There are always complications. There are always obstacles. And right now, the main obstacle is United's ability to sign a replacement in January. The reality check. What will probably happen? Let's be honest with each other. Let's talk about what will probably actually happen rather than what we might want to happen. The most likely scenario is that Kobbie Mainoo stays at Manchester United for the rest of this season. No loan move. No transfer. He stays put. Why? Because January transfers are really difficult to do. United will look at the market. They will explore their options. But they probably will not find the right player at the right price. Clubs do not want to sell their best players mid-season. And United will not overpay for someone just to facilitate a Mainoo loan. So Mainoo will stay. He will keep training with United. He will keep working with Ruben Amorim. And hopefully, as the season goes on, he will start getting more playing time. Maybe Amorim will slowly integrate him into the team. Maybe injuries to other players will create opportunities. Maybe Mainoo will adapt to the new system and force his way into the starting 11. Or maybe he will sit on the bench for another 6 months and then re-evaluate in the summer. That is not ideal. That is not what any United fan wants to see. But it might be the reality. The Napoli interest will probably still be there in the summer. If things have not improved for Mainoo by then, the loan move could happen for next season. Or maybe United will decide to cash in and sell him permanently if a big offer comes in. That would be sad, but it could happen. The World Cup dream is probably over for this summer. That is the harsh truth. Unless something dramatic changes in the next few months, Mainoo will not make England's squad. There are too many good midfielders playing regularly. There is too much competition. And 6 months is not enough time to go from bench warmer to international starter. But here is the thing about football careers. They are long. Mainoo is only 20. The World Cup next summer is not the only tournament that will ever happen. There will be European Championships. There will be another World Cup in 2030. There will be plenty of opportunities if Mainoo can get his career back on track. The key is not to panic. Not to make rash decisions. Not to force moves that do not make sense. Sometimes, being patient is the right approach. Sometimes, working hard and waiting for your chance is the mature thing to do. Will Mainoo see it that way? Maybe. Maybe not. He is a young player who is ambitious and hungry. He wants to play now. He does not want to wait. That is understandable. But sometimes, what we want and what is actually best for us are two different things. Why this story matters beyond just one player. Before we wrap up, I want to talk about why this story matters beyond just Kobbie Mainoo. Because this is actually a much bigger issue that affects football as a whole. This is a story about youth development. About how clubs handle young players. About the balance between giving opportunities to academy graduates and signing established stars. About patience versus immediate results. Manchester United have one of the best academies in world football. They have produced countless top players over the years. But in recent times, the pathway from academy to first team has become harder and harder. Why? Because the pressure to win is so intense. Because managers need results immediately or they get sacked. Because clubs spend hundreds of millions on transfers and those expensive signings need to play. When a young player like Mainoo breaks through and does well, it is brilliant. It is what United fans want to see. But then a new manager comes in with different ideas, and suddenly that young player is back on the bench. It is frustrating for everyone. This is not just a United problem. This happens at every big club. Chelsea have produced fantastic young players who ended up leaving and succeeding elsewhere. Manchester City have one of the best academies in England, but how many City Academy graduates play regularly for the first team? Arsenal are better at it than most, but even they have struggled at times. The question is this. What do you do when a talented young player is not playing? Do you loan them out to get game time? Do you keep them at the club to learn from top players and coaches? Do you sell them with a buyback clause? There is no perfect answer. With Mainoo, United are choosing to keep him. To make him fight for his place. To trust that Amorim will eventually give him opportunities. Is that the right call? We will only know in hindsight. But it is important that we as fans understand the complexities here. It is easy to say just loan him out or just play him. But football clubs have to make difficult decisions based on many factors. Squad depth. Tactical fit. Financial considerations. Long-term planning. It is complicated. This story also matters because it shows how quickly things can change in football. 6 months ago, Mainoo was one of the first names on the team sheet. Now he is a squad player struggling for minutes. Football is ruthless. Form is temporary. And if you are not careful, opportunities can slip away. For young players watching this situation, there is a lesson here. Success in football is not a straight line. There will be setbacks. There will be periods where you are not playing. How you respond to those challenges defines your career. Do you keep working hard? Do you stay professional? Do you take your chances when they come? Or do you sulk and complain and let your standards drop? Mainoo seems like a good kid with a good attitude. Hopefully he will navigate this difficult period and come out stronger on the other side. But this is a test. A real test of his character and determination. Final thoughts and what to watch for. As we come to the end of this deep dive, let's summarize what we know and what to watch for in the coming weeks. The Leeds United links are nonsense. Forget about them. That is not happening. The rivalry between the clubs makes it impossible. United would never do it. Mainoo would never want it. Leeds cannot offer what he needs. Move on from that story. The Napoli interest is real. This is a genuine possibility if United sign a replacement midfielder in January. Napoli want him. Mainoo is open to the move. It would be a great opportunity for the player. But it all depends on United doing their own business first. Manchester United's official stance is that Mainoo is not for sale or loan. They want to keep him. They want him to fight for his place. This is their position and they will probably stick to it unless circumstances change. The most likely outcome is that Mainoo stays at United for the rest of this season. The January window is tough. United probably will not find the right replacement. So Mainoo will stay and hopefully start getting more playing time as the season progresses. The World Cup dream is probably over for next summer. That is harsh but realistic. There are too many good English midfielders. There is not enough time for Mainoo to force his way into contention. But his career is long and there will be other opportunities. What should you watch for in the coming weeks? First, watch Manchester United's transfer activity. If they sign a midfielder in January, that opens the door for a Mainoo loan. Keep an eye on any news about United pursuing players like Elliot Anderson or any other central midfielders. Second, watch Mainoo's playing time. Is Amorim starting to use him more? Is he getting longer substitute appearances? Is he working his way back into the team? If his playing time increases, the pressure for a loan move decreases. Third, watch for any quotes from Mainoo, his representatives, or United officials. Sometimes a carefully worded interview can tell us a lot about what is happening behind the scenes. If Mainoo starts talking about wanting to play more, that could be a sign that he is pushing for a move. Fourth, watch Napoli. Are they signing other midfielders? Are they making it clear that they still want Mainoo? Or are they moving on to other targets? Their actions will tell us if the interest is still genuine or if they have given up. Fifth, watch the England squad announcements. If the national team manager keeps overlooking Mainoo, that increases the pressure on him to make a move. If he starts getting called up despite limited playing time, that changes the equation. January is always a fascinating month in football. Transfer windows are full of drama, rumours, and last-minute deals. This situation with Kobbie Mainoo is one of the most interesting stories of this winter. It affects United squad planning. It affects a young player's career trajectory. It affects England's World Cup preparations. There is a lot at stake here. Wrapping up, stay tuned to United Daily Updates. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this detailed breakdown. I know it was long, but this is an important topic that deserves proper analysis. Too many people just read headlines and make assumptions. Here at United Daily Updates, we dig deeper. We give you context. We give you the full picture. If you found this useful, please do me a favor. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not already. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. We cover all the major Manchester United news, and we do it with the same level of depth and insight that you just read here. Leave a comment below and let me know what you think about the Mainoo situation. Do you think United should loan him out? Should he stay and fight for his place? Is the Napoli move a good idea? I want to hear your thoughts. This is a community, and your opinions matter. Share this with other United fans who might be confused about what is going on with Mainoo. There is so much misinformation out there. So many clickbait headlines. Help us spread accurate, well-researched information to the wider United community. The January transfer window is just getting started. There will be more news, more rumours, more developments. We will be here to cover all of it. Every single day. That is our commitment to you. Remember, at United Daily Updates, we do not just report the news. We explain it. We analyse it. We give you the context you need to understand what is really happening. That is what makes us different. That is why thousands of United fans trust us as their go-to source. Keep the red flag flying high. Keep supporting the boys. And keep coming back here for all your Manchester United news and analysis.